Let's go on to the running back position here. Starts and sits. We're going to start talking starts. We got Myles Gaskin. You're saying start him. He had a huge week in week 5 out of nowhere. Yeah, sell the people on your boy Myles Gaskin. You know, it's you're definitely a big Dolphins fan, so you watch all the snaps.
Yeah. So why don't you're talking off air, why don't you like Myles Gaskin?
I just can't, just like just based off of, what we've seen, it goes back and forth, it seems like snap count percentage. It's like the week prior, Myles Gaskin's out there only on 23% of snaps. And then in week 5, and by the way, I said to sit Myles Gaskin last week, but you guys played the Bucs in week 5, and he just came off a game where he had 23% snap percentage.
Yeah.
So why in the hell would I start Myles Gaskin in that specific week? Obviously, it's hard not to after this past week, but I just is this like a thing where I'm like, dude, what the fuck are we gonna get with Myles Gaskin here? I mean, honestly, you could tell me probably better than I would know. It's too inconsistent where I'm like, I traded him in the one league I had him in, but it makes me nervous. That's all. I do get why. I mean, I'm just afraid that I'm gonna be like chasing the points almost.
No, yeah, and I get it, and maybe it could sound like you're chasing the points as you said here, but
I'm not saying that you're
Myles
doing that.
Gaskin to me he's like a low end RB2. I mean, I know you're saying the snap counts the week before pretty low, but last week I think it was like 69% of the snaps he played. And he's actually played over 50% of the snaps in 4 of the 5 games. So he just had that one down game against the Colts, I believe it was. So, and it's just to me as a Dolphins fan, I do believe that Myles Gaskin is the best running back in terms of like running the football and receiving on this Miami Dolphins football team here. So they're slated to get to Tagovailoa back this week, so that should only help boost the offense. Hopefully they get Devontae Parker back as well. He traveled with the team to London. This game's going to be played in London bright and early in the morning.
Yeah.
So those are just some good signs there that can only boost the offense, which would help Myles Gaskin in return. I know he had a crazy game last week, which was, I think it was 10 catches on 10 targets for like 74 yards and the 2 touchdowns. I'm not expecting him to repeat that. But what Myles Gaskin has always been able to do, at least for last year and kind of a little bit this year, is he's been a guy where, he'll get you 30, 40 yards on the ground, 30, 40 yards through the air, and then, 3, 4, 5 catches through the air as well. So especially in PPR, he has a safe floor. So I'm expecting the Dolphins, which they're in a must-win game right now. I mean, they're 1-4. And if they lose this game to the Jaguars, who haven't won a game at all this year, their season might be over. So this is a must-win game right here. So if I'm Brian Flores, if I'm the Miami Dolphins, I'm thinking, hey, last week we saw how valuable Myles Gaskin was to this offense, and he was basically a huge part of how we put points on the board. You would like to think that these motherfuckers, sorry for my language, would utilize one of their best weapons.
You're
so.
Right.
Yeah, I do like Myles Gaskin this week, and for what it's worth, the Jaguars, they've allowed a league-high 9 rushing touchdowns. So could Malcolm Brown come in and stake a touchdown? 1,000%. But I do believe that Myles Gaskin has a safe floor in this matchup. So he's like a low-end RB2 for me right here. Especially, like you said, you got a couple guys on buys. Maybe you had a Kamara.
Or maybe you had Damien Williams and now you didn't end up getting
yeah, for sure. Myles Gaskin was probably your 3rd or 4th running back, so you probably didn't have him as your guy anyways. But he's a guy where you can throw in as a low end RB2. I feel like, and he should get you a safe floor this week.
Yeah, I mean, you sold me a little bit, so I like it. It just makes me nervous. That's all. I just want to
get a little
bring
aggressive there, dude. I call Brian.
No, you're
Flores,
like, bro, he's my boy, dude. Don't fucking sign about up. Okay, let's go on to the next start. We got Khalil Herbert. I spoke on this. I actually got a couple DMs saying like, "Hey, I ended up getting Khalil Herbert because of you guys," which was from like friends and things like that for that checked out the videos and stuff. So yeah, obviously Damien Williams goes out. What was the official report on Damien Williams? Do you know?
Damian Williams
shoulder?
landed on the COVID reserve list.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Okay.
Not necessarily he has COVID, but maybe he came in close contact with somebody who has COVID. So now it's looking unlikely that he will play. But even last week when he played, Damian Williams and Khalil Herbert, they split the touches. It was 18 touches each.
Yeah.
Like I said, this team looks like a team that wants to run the ball. I'm not impressed with Justin Fields at all. He looks terrible. I got some numbers for another player that I'm going to sit later, and just in terms of the passing attack and how bad this Bears passing attack is. So they definitely want to run the ball. I mean, we kind of saw what it was with David Montgomery early in the year. He was getting a ton of work. So now that Damian Williams might miss the game, or most likely will miss the game, this looks like it's going to be the Khalil Herbert show. He's being only started in 8% of ESPN leagues I saw. This guy needs to be started in like 100% of leagues.
Hey, by the way, Khalil Herbert also only 21% rostered in ESPN leagues.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So, I mean, if you're watching this right now or listening to this right now, Khalil Herbert could be on your waiver wire. You literally don't have to wait anything. You just add him on your team.
Oh yeah, 100%. And if
that rarely happens.
If he's on my waiver wire, you know what? It is crazy because and I think we said it all the time. Like we're in so many leagues. I'm in 6 leagues. I know Mike, you're in 4, 5, 6 leagues too yourself. But it's like you're just saying this guy's available in basically 80% of leagues. But it's like the leagues that we're in, this guy's nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
he's
and
picked
by
up
the morning.
his roster.
By the morning, this will change.
So
by the way, too.
Obviously, like Mike said, go get him and. That's a guy that you can pick up on the waiver wire and you can throw into your lineup and start him right away.
Yeah. Yeah, Khalil Herbert, yeah, definitely like it. They split touches last week. Damian Williams and Khalil Herbert, they had an even amount of touches. So you just have to imagine, I don't think that they're going to go all the way down and split carries between Khalil Herbert and the 4th string guy.
No, not at all.
There's no way.
I would expect for him to get at least 20 touches.
Yeah, at least, yeah. And that's on the low end, to be honest, because he had, 18 or 19 last week?
Yeah.
So, and that was splitting. Both him and Damian Williams had the same. So, Khalil Herbert, I think you're right, man. He's going to, just a workload alone, you got to fucking start the guy, I think.
Yeah, pick him up, start him, thank us later.
Yeah. Thank us later. Let's go on to our sits. For week 6, running back position, we got Latavius Murray. That's correct, right? You want to sit Latavius Murray?
Yeah, I mean, Latavius Murray, to me personally, he's dead to me. I needed him to get me 10 points on Monday Night Football to secure me the W for the week.
Lamar Jackson said, nope, I got him.
You got guys, Lamar Jackson balled out, Mark Andrews, Marquise Brown, all these guys balled out, and Latavius Murray just disappeared. And he disappeared last week after coming off a game where he had 18 carries. I mean, it looked like he was going to be the guy. 2 weeks ago or whatever it was. Tyson Williams, healthy and active. Latavius Murray was the guy. Played the most snaps out of any running back. Got 18 carries, and I don't know. This week he's just non-existent. I mean, he only had 8 total touches.
What's funny?
It's just gross, dude. This Ravens backfield is just gross right now.
No, I had 2 big sits last week, and it was the Ravens running backs and the 49ers running backs. Just because I think they're very similar in a way where they're just kind of riddled with injuries. It's like they don't really have a main guy that they like, and if they do, it changes, and then the other guys get injured. It's just kind of all over the place. It's so impossible to predict. So I'm 100% with you. I'm staying away from this Latavius Murray play.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't even topped 60 yards in the 5 games that he's played, and for one of the run heaviest teams in the NFL, to not be able to do that, it's just insane. It's like, dude, come on. You can't even break off one big run and get over 60 yards. And then, last week he had 2 receptions, but prior to that, in the first 4 weeks, he's had 0 receptions. So 0 receiving upside. So, yeah, I'm just out on the Latavius Murray sweepstakes or whatever it is. Tyson Williams got activated. You still got Devontae Freeman there. I don't know. They're bringing Le'Veon Bell up. They're dropping him down. So it's just
they don't know.
It's just for lack of a better word, a shit show over
Here's
there
the thing
in Baltimore.
That's what it is. Baltimore doesn't know what they're doing, what they're doing with their backfield, and so that's why we don't. and that's why I can't confidently like tell you out there to play one of these guys.
No, yeah, I agree with
You
that.
know what I mean? So let's go on to the next running back here. You got Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer Schmidt, dude. Don't want to play him. Week 6, sit him. Why are you sitting Josh Jacobs?
Man, I'm just looking at my notes right here, and there's just so much to go over. I don't even know where to begin. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Going into the season,
Start at the beginning.
I don't think we were very big on Josh Jacobs in general. Obviously they signed Kenyon Drake. We thought he would be utilized to some degree. He was getting paid. Kenyon Drake is getting paid more per year than Chris Carson. Kenyon Drake is getting paid more per year as a backup than Chris Carson is as the starter for the Seahawks. So you don't just pay a guy that much money to just sit on the bench. So I think that's why we weren't so high on Josh Jacobs coming into the year. But just some numbers are here. He's been held to under 50 yards in each game played rushing so far. He's averaging 3.3 yards per carry. That's just gross. Yeah. I mean, they lost their center to the Cardinals in the offseason. They traded him away. He was one of the best centers in the league. Richie Incognito hasn't played. He might return this year. Maybe he played last week. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me. But he's been out for a good chunk. They had to hold John Gruden thing. Coach resigns. It's just negative energy. It's just a negative backlash.
I know that sounds silly.
So,
that sounds silly, but you're 100% right. There's actually
yeah.
You have to imagine there's a whole different coaching change.
Yeah. Now they're going on the road to Denver to play the Broncos. And I always say it. I do believe the Broncos have one of the better home field advantages in the NFL because you're playing in that altitude, and it really is, the Mile High Stadium.
By the way, division game too.
Division game, yeah, for sure. And the Broncos, they've allowed a league low in terms of like receptions for the running backs here. So, I mean, the last couple weeks, Josh Jacobs, he's had 5 targets the last 2 games. But like I said, the Broncos, they're pretty stingy against the receiving running backs, allowing league lows in receptions and receiving yards for the running backs. And the Broncos have only allowed 2 rushing touchdowns all season long to the running back position. So, yeah, I just don't like this at all. I love the Broncos defense in this matchup. So if I love the Broncos defense in the matchup, I'm not expecting too much like offense from the Las Vegas Raiders here. So yeah, I'd be sitting Josh Jacobs in this one if I could. I mean, go get like you said, you can go get Khalil Herbert off the waiver wire in a lot of leagues.
Yeah,
go get me Khalil Herbert, and I'm subbing him out for Josh Jacobs, and I'm not even thinking twice about it.
That's
and now watch Josh Jacobs have 3 touchdowns this week.
Hey, did you like that video? No, not the one of Big Ben completely eating shit when nobody even touched him. I'm talking about our fantasy football video we just did. You just watched. Well, guess what? That was just a clip from the full audio podcast. So if you want to check out the whole thing, links down below. AVG Fantasy Football, podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, all of them. Anywhere you can get audio podcasts, we're there. Go ahead and check it out. And if you don't want to look at your fantasy team to look the way Big Ben does right here, wait for it. Come on, replay. This is your fantasy team. But that won't be your fantasy team if you subscribe to AVG Fantasy Football. So go ahead, subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to the channel and like.